Welcome to this week's edition of Mob Talk. I'm Dave Schratwieser.
And I'm George Anastasia.
George, we're in South Philly to talk about a guy who came to South Philly, the government informant in the big Joey Merlino case in New York, J.R. Rubeo.
Yes, and that case is going to rise or fall on Rubeo's credibility.
All right, George, let's talk about J.R. Rubeo, the key guy in the case against Philly mob boss Joey Merlino in that big New York City case.
Yeah, here's the guy who's wired up and is recording a lot of conversations. And there's a real question now about whether he was playing fast and loose with the protocols and the way to handle this. And that's why the case against Merlino is, I think, shaky at best.
All right, there's some hints that he has a little bit of a problem of his own right now.
Well, the report out of New York now is that he's back in jail, that his bail was revoked. And why was it revoked? You know, we're not going to know because a lot of the stuff is done under seal or behind closed doors. I mean, one theory coming out of the guys in the Merlino camp is Rubeo was off the reservation so long that in order to keep him kind of under control and rein him in, they've put him back in jail. Maybe we find that out if this goes to trial. Right now, we just don't know.
We'll never really know that because he's under an assumed name. If he's in prison, it wouldn't be on the regular Federal Bureau of Prisons logs, that kind of thing.
Right. More than likely, he's in some county jail in a protective custody wing, and you know, they're trying to take care of him. I don't know how happy he'll be in that kind of situation. My understanding is he was never happy with the way he was handled to begin with, and this is going to just exacerbate him. We'll see what happens.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this. There's a lot going around about the tapes he made, how he made them, how he was supervised by the FBI. I don't want to say this is a scandal, but it is not good for that case.
It doesn't look like it's a good situation, and it goes to what Rubeo was doing when he was in Florida. Apparently when he was in New York, everything was pretty much by the book. And those are the guys that are all pleading out in this case. Mm-hmm. But when he was in Florida, he didn't have strict supervision. And they talk about the chain of custody in terms of evidence. You know, when Previty was making tapes, he'd go make the tape and then he'd meet with the FBI, give him the tape. In Florida, that wasn't happening. And tapes were turned on, turned off, that kind of stuff. He also was in New Jersey at Memories, we believe, at a party. Right. And he also was here in Philadelphia. The interesting thing we're being told, and I think it's accurate, is when he was in Philadelphia, he wasn't wearing a wire.
Now, why would that be? Why would that be? Here's a guy in Joey Merlino's hometown with his guys, from what we know, new details we know, nobody else knows. He's in town with Merlino's guys, and he's not wearing a wire, and he's not making tapes.
The only explanation I can get on this is there was such friction between New York and Philadelphia that New York, despite being the sovereign state, Southern District of New York, doing whatever the hell they want, in that particular case, they didn't want to step on toes here and say, we got our guy in your town wired up, because I think they would have to tell Philadelphia. Right. And they didn't want to tell Florida, they didn't want to tell Philadelphia. It's New York being the 500-pound gorilla.
All right, so from what we hear, he's riding around in the cars with the guys, visiting different spots in Philadelphia. Yeah. We don't know how many trips he made, but we were told multiple.
Right.
He's not wearing a wire. They're all buddying up with him because Joey's vouched for him, basically. I think some guys were skeptical of him, yet they kept traveling around with him, and they probably could have made some pretty damn good tapes.
Well, yeah, I mean, that begs the question. I think what happened here, you know, if you look at that indictment, they talk about the East Coast racketeering enterprise up and down the East Coast, including Philadelphia. Yet not one charge in that case has anything at all to do with Philadelphia. Yeah. And nobody but Merlino from Philadelphia is charged. So I think it was the federal government, basically, I think, they threw Joey into that case to give him another big name at the top of the indictment.
Yeah. Now, we've heard this, you've heard it, I've heard it, it's not a secret, that Rubeo might have taken a little fascination with Joey Merlino, that he liked the guy. He liked the way he moved, he liked the way he was socializing, he kind of liked the panache that goes with Joey Merlino. We all know about that, he's the social media mogul of the mob. This guy liked to travel with Joey Merlino, it sounds like.
And when he was in Florida, I think he had a really good time. And I'm told he once said, look, all of these guys use you and take your money. Joey makes you feel good while he's doing it. Yeah. I mean, and I think he did enjoy being around Joey, the charismatic guy in Florida. Whether that works for the government's favor or whether it becomes a problem, in large part it's going to depend if Rubeo ends up on the stand. And that goes to the question of, are they going to go the full 100 yards in this case? Look at what we got right now. We got 46 defendants. As best I can determine, 44 have already either pled out or agreed to plea out. The 45th is probably going to take a plea. So you're left with Joey, last man standing. Do the feds want to go to trial with Joey, put Rubeo on the stand, bring in all the information about FBI possible misconduct, because you know Eddie Jacobs is going to bring that stuff in?
Sure.
Do they want to risk all of that in order to attempt to convict Joey? Flip side of this is, and we know this already, Patsy Perillo, the lead defendant in that case, pled out, and he got sentenced to 84 months, which was above the guidelines.
Yes.
So it's a real gamble on both sides. Joey's taking a risk. If he goes to trial and he loses, he's looking at serious time.
Yeah.
Conversely, if the feds go to trial, and somebody said this to me, you know, Eddie Jacobs is a master of playing the tapes. He'll know the tapes better than the government. And the guy said this is going to be a Category 5 storm for the government if they go to trial here.
All right, and you got Rubeo possibly on the witness stand looking across the courtroom at Joey Merlino, a guy he likes, and a guy who he turned the tape on and off with, kind of thing. How good of a witness is he going to be against the one guy he likes maybe here?
Rubeo on the stand allows the defense to bring all of that out, and that's going to be a problem, I think, for the feds. You know, that's the problem when you get in a situation like this where the protocols weren't followed, and you got to be held accountable. And you know Eddie Jacobs, as a defense attorney, will hold the government accountable.
All right, but one place we do know he has some of the Philly guys on tapes is up in New York at a Christmas party. I think it was at Patsy Perillo's restaurant.
Right, yeah.
Bunch of guys are up there. Some of the top names here in Philly are up there with him at a party, and we've already seen a couple of tapes come out on that.
Absolutely. I mean, so there are tapes in New York that include Philadelphia guys, but as I said earlier, nobody in Philadelphia was charged with anything in this case.
Yeah.
So where does that leave you? The other thing is Rubio's got a lot of baggage on his own. I mean, he started cooperating because he was jammed up in a drug deal, and you know that's going to be brought out when he's on the stand. Why are you doing this? You know, you're dealing drugs. You're trying to get out from underneath your own problem. It's the standard kind of arguments.
Yeah.
I'm just very surprised. I would be surprised. It's almost like a challenge, I guess, to New York. Do you really want to go to trial to convict one guy when you already got 45 guys? Is your ego so big that you have to go to trial? And on the flip side, as I said, Joey's taking a gamble, but I'm told Joey's telling his friends, I don't care if they offer me one day, I'm not taking it.
All right, the gamble here is, though, what you talked about before, that Joey could get some serious time. One of the defendants was sentenced earlier this week. He got 5.5 years. He's one of the real lower guys on the totem pole, and the judge smacked him pretty good and told him, don't ever come back here in my courtroom or you'll really see what punishment is like.
Yeah, man, I mean, Joey's got 2 serious priors. That all factors into it, too. 2 serious priors. He opts to go to trial. That works against him if he's convicted. And I think, as I said, if Perillo got 84, Joey's looking at 84 plus if he gets convicted. Yeah. But I think he believes he won't get convicted. He keeps telling people, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm a gambler. I'm not a bookmaker. We'll see.
George, one thing we didn't talk about yet is the high-tech FBI, the kinds of things that they use. We hear there's an eyeglass cam making video that somebody wore, might have been an FBI agent, was it Rubeo, we don't know. There's all kinds of other little technical things. They wear watches that can record and stuff like that.
When this case first broke, I was told you're not even going to hear these guys, you're going to see these guys. And someone told us just recently that the FBI undercover was wearing glasses with a camera in it. It is very much high-tech, spy against spy kind of thing.
That'll be interesting stuff to see in a courtroom. We haven't seen that in a courtroom.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the reasons I would like to see this case go to trial, just to learn about that kind of stuff. On the other hand, there's a lot of risk from both sides if it does go to trial.
The FBI doesn't like us talking about those things. All right, George, before we get to the Merlino trial in early 2018, out comes the John Gotti movie in December with John Travolta. We've both seen the trailer. It looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I think it's more the John Gotti myth than the reality, but John Travolta as the Dapper Don, I think, is perfect casting. People are going to go see this movie. Absolutely. All right, before we go, I just want to thank everybody for following us on social media and on YouTube. I'm Dave Schratwieser. I'm George Anastasia. See you next time.